Bethesda, the makers of Fallout and Elder Scrolls, and it was announced in 2018, so it's been a long time coming, but there's a lot of hype for this one, and it's said to be an epic role-playing game where you get to be who you want and go where you want, of course, as you can see, exploring in space. Bethesda claim that this is their most ambitious game ever, and it's on their brand new Creation Engine 2, which will power this and of course the next Elder Scrolls 6. So I'm going to break everything down here. We're going to talk about everything that we saw in the gameplay, what it will offer without wasting any of your time. So the gameplay starts off with the player arriving on a moon of Crete. It begins in a first-person perspective, and we can see in front of the player some kind of robot companion who ends up speaking to you. We can also see on the heads-up display here, we've got frags, we've got oxygen levels, CO2 levels, and some kind of pistol in the bottom right there, and the player begins to explore the planet, scanning around for the local fauna and wildlife. We then see the player switch to third person, so yep, this can be played in first and third person, and then they come across some aliens, and it appears that to begin with they do consider opening fire, but not all alien creatures in this game will be hostile on contact. Others maybe not, as we'll see later in the gameplay, but these ones seem pretty chill. We then see the player mining some iron. So there is a mining mechanic in this game, and we'll go into that a little bit more later on in the video. And also on that heads-up display, we saw a photo mode. I know a lot of people care about that kind of thing. So the player goes ahead to discover a location and gain some XP from that. And we find out that pirates are using this facility, so it's time to get your guns out. On the radio menu that comes up, we can see 4 choices of weapons in the demo. The player then moves into the facility. Graphics looking real good here, some nice dynamic lighting it would seem. Definitely a big improvement on the last Fallout game. And then there's some basic combat here, switching to various different weapons with some kind of P90 like SMG. Doesn't look like there's any VATS mechanic as we see in Fallout, so maybe all of the combat in this game is in real time. Some physics operating here as well, and then the player continues on and they get to an area with a little hacking mini game. If you played any of the Elder Scrolls games or Fallout games, you'll know that looting, lockpicking, hacking in this circumstance is a regular feature. And this is called a digipick, and eventually the player opens it up and loots a new weapon called the Equinox, which kind of looks like a laser assault rifle. The player then heads back outside and enemy pirates land their ship and begin to attack. Nice little skirmish goes on here, and we get to see demonstrations of jump packs, explosions, and I'm imagining that this is all a scripted event in this particular story mission. And then it skips forward and we find out that the player is invited to join Constellation, who are the last group of space explorers, and we head to a place called New Atlantis. We fly the ship there, we land it, and this is a location where we can see NPCs walking around. It's some kind of a hub, I suppose you would say. Plenty of detail in the environments here, and we go into an interior location where we can talk to characters. I assume that these will give you main quests and side quests. And these guys are committed to the question of what's out there. And we're told that artifacts are the key to all of this. There's some special artifacts that have been discovered. And I guess that this is the main quest in the game, to find out what these artifacts are, what they're building, and solve the main puzzle there. So the players then set off on their way to find more of these artifacts scattered around the galaxy. But the galaxy, of course, is full of many different groups with other priorities, and it's up to you to choose what to do. Who do you want to ally with? Who do you want to work with? Do you want to take down pirates or perhaps join them? Maybe you'll join the peacekeepers. Maybe you'll just be a big alien bounty hunting guy who goes and fights creatures. So it's obvious that there's many biomes and locations to explore here, and they did talk about that a bit later on. So your actions in this game, with this being a Bethesda title, it's an RPG, your choices have consequences. And we're on to the character creator here. Todd Howard said that this is the most flexible one they've ever built yet, and you can customize all of the elements of how you look, even the way that you walk. You can also pick a background that will give you 3 starting skills, and characters in the game will interact with you based on what you picked. There are optional traits too, with disadvantages and advantages if you want to really get into the metagame, the nitty gritty. The skill system, of course, we've got that here too, and that combines the best of their previous games, they say. We saw skill trees like tactical, ballistics, science, and you can level these up by using them and completing challenges. The game has crafting as well, and this could be simple science projects with the resources that you find for upgrades, for example, or you can use this to craft weapon mods. You can also build your own outposts and bases, and these can be for survival and resource generation. I didn't play much Fallout 76, but I know that that had some form of base building in it. It looks like they've taken some of that maybe and implanted that here, and you can choose where and how to build each one, and then you can hire characters to keep them up and running, which is quite interesting. So it seems like there's some kind of upkeep metagame with these places that you build. You can also build your own spaceships too. This was pretty cool. You can change the look of the interior, the exterior, you can choose crew members, and Todd said that the look and layout of these can be completely customized with lots of different ship modules and ship manufacturers to choose from. You could see the different parts here kind of being chosen in a list and then snapping onto different areas. And yes, you can fly that ship too, and how you build it also affect how it performs. So that could be from the engines to the shields to the weapon systems. You want to build something that's tanky or something that's more like a glass cannon. And then it showed taking off into space to demonstrate some space combat, but I want to say that it didn't show taking off from the ground as a player and then going into space. So that could have been a cutscene. So maybe temper your expectations for this one. I'm not sure they're going to have the whole complete control of flying from space down onto a planet and leaving a planet and flying up into space, all player controlled. It might just be that that was a cutscene because they didn't really show that. I feel like if that was a thing in the game, a playable mechanic, they would have demonstrated it, but no confirmation of that so far. But we've definitely got flying around in space here with space combat. You can do first person, third person, cool looking dashboard there. And we had options like target lock, the boost, the speed, the balance of the weapon systems, the lasers, the missiles. So it seems like there's a bit of depth in the space combat. I don't think it's going to be quite Star Citizen levels of complicated for flying these ships, not that it has to be, but I would expect a more accessible arcadey version of that with a few systems to manage. We also got to see ships flying through asteroid fields and bigger ones that kind of look like cargo freighters. You could also dock with other ships. That was demonstrated for a second too. So how big is this game? Well, Todd said that you can explore anywhere on the planet. So maybe this is truly open world in that respect, but not just on one planet. In fact, all the planets in the system. So there might be planets in this particular system that are barren and resource heavy ice balls to Goldilocks-like planets with a lot of life and creatures. And then I was kind of surprised by this. Todd said that there were over 100 systems with over 1,000 planets to explore. Not sure how they're going to pull that one off. I'm assuming there's going to be a lot of copy paste in there with the main story beats as the more detailed stuff, but I'd love to see how this turns out. And that was it really. Overall, looks good, seems interesting. It's been in the works since before 2018. So obviously a lot of time and effort has gone into this. The music was really good too. I don't know who composed it, but awesome music in the trailers. And they said that this is coming out in 2023 and it will be on Xbox Game Pass day one. At the start of the show though, they did say that every game in the show was coming out within the next 12 months. So summer next year maybe for Starfield, unless it gets delayed, which I'm guessing it might do. Also, just a bit of a preference for me. I kind of wish that this had co-op or some form of multiplayer so I could play through the story and enjoy exploring and building stuff together, making ships together with a friend. Anyways, there we go. That's our first look at Starfield gameplay. Do let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. How you feeling about this one? If you enjoyed the video, leave a like. If you didn't, a dislike. Subscribe for more and I'll see you in the next one.